Hey there guys, I'm super excited for this video because today we have a sponsor, and it's CookerKing! Whoa! Now let's see what this baby can do. Let's go! You can have this thing set to like max. It works on every stovetop, and it always will stay cool. Oh, y'all hear that sizzle?
I just turned down the heat a bit.
I would really like to point out that this thing is oven safe. Using my link down below, you can get 15% off one of your own CookerKing stainless steel pans. And with that being said, let's get today's video started. Enjoy. Hi, I'm Julian, and today I have a special guest, the one and only Scuabba! Yeah, Scuabba. Thank you for being here today. I know you're a very busy lady.
Thank you for having me.
So today, Scuabba and I are going to talk about things that happened while we were growing up. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so when I was around the age of like 3, I think, I would always get dropped off at my grandma's house, where my second oldest cousin, Go-Aside S-Man, would live. He's the cousin known for picking on the younger cousins. When I got dropped off there, he took me into his room where he was ironing clothes, and he said, "I'm gonna burn you." And I said, "Please don't burn me." And he would nod his head going, "Oh yes, I am." And when I wasn't looking, he unplugged the iron, but he held it up in my face, and I ran out the room screaming, "Don't burn me!" And then an hour or so later, I went back up and said, "You're not gonna burn me, are you?" And he said, "Ain't nobody gonna burn you." Here's what's funny. When I grew up, I became taller than him, and I put him in a headlock and say, "What's up now, fucker?"
Honestly, as you should. Now, as a former mean cousin, well, current mean cousin, I do feel bad for him because I know that's gonna be me in a few years when my cousins grow up. Speaking of mean cousin stories, I guess I'll tell mine. So there was a book series called, let's call it Goosebumps, who made a show series about some of their books. And one of them was about this life-size crazy doll who went around trying to off her owner to take her place, and my little cousin was terrified of this movie. Now, guess what she was gifted for Christmas? She was so scared. She was so scared of it that she locked it in her closet. And fast forward a couple months, me and some other cousins my age, we stumbled across this doll and we came up with a devious plan. We told her to play hide and seek in the dark, a fun game we usually play. And her little gullible child self was so excited to play in the dark with her cool older cousins. So she went to count. We turned off all the lights and dug up the doll and hid it. We dug up the doll and hid together all in one spot. So when she did find us, we jumped at her and began chasing her around the house with this doll. And the poor girl was screaming for her life. Unfortunately for us, we did get caught by her mom and we were scolded by our moms.
Yeah, that's what you get. But that low-key reminds me of this one summer. I was staying at my grandma's house, and my oldest cousin, Marky, left for a night, and I was hanging out with her kids, Anthony and Aiden. The thing about Aiden is, he gets scared really easily. So Anthony and I would tell him scary stories, and at the end we would say, "You scared, Aiden?" And he would shake his head nodding yes, and Anthony and I would start laughing. Then our grandma would say, "Julian and Anthony, are you scaring Aiden again?" And we would say, "No, we're not." And we would whisper, "Yes, we are." And then Aiden grew up into a teenager and makes us watch Mr. Nightmare with him now. And yo, shout out to Mr. Nightmare for always making sleepovers funnier and scarier.
Not the poor baby. Oof. It's funny how things change once they get older. It makes me feel so nostalgic. I have a story on how I was a mean cousin again. I got what I was asking for. Growing up, I was always the oldest cousin, so it was kind of rare to see other people older than me or my age as a kid. One day I was at my god sister's, which is fun fact. She's also now my cousin because my uncle married her mom, so that's interesting. Anyways, we still refer to each other as god sisters. Okay, that's my sister. Anyways, she has an older brother, and he probably didn't like me much when we were kids. I used to purposely annoy him. I used to take his DS and camera roll and fill it up with selfies, erase his game data sometimes, and take his toys. Anyways, it was my little sister's birthday party. He had some friends over and they're playing on their console, and I'm pretty sure it was GTB. Yep, that's a game, which I don't think little children should be playing, but yeah, they were playing it. Anyways, my aunt asked me to go upstairs and bring him down so we could sing happy birthday. I went up there, he's still playing the game, so I plugged the game out. And before I could ask him again, I was then taken out the room so he could calm down, and he got the pass from being at his little sister's birthday. Anyways, yeah, we love each other now, I think.
Why would you unplug his game? He didn't even get to save it yet. One time at my aunt's house, my cousin Wiz shared a bedroom with her sister, aka my other cousin Audie. Wisdom would sometimes take the mattress off her bed and put it on the floor between the beds, making a bridge. One time I was laying on that bridge and Wiz had scissors in her hand and she jumped on me with them, and the scissors narrowly missed my eye, but it did scratch my forehead. I was in a lot of pain because first off, why did she even have scissors? She was 5 and I was 4. And then I ran to my grandma crying because I was hurting. And then my aunt, or Wiz's mom, took her upstairs, and let's just say we heard a lot. But I healed up just fine and I'm all good now. But Wiz is probably still one of my favorite cousins. And she also got karma because a month later she fell down the stairs and broke her arm.
Oh, your poor cousin. Speaking from someone who used to push their cousins down the stairs, I feel for her. Okay, my last story. Okay, so I would like to start off. I have been scratched, beat up, punched, kicked in the gut by this cousin. So do not judge me of my actions, okay? If you have cousins, you would talk to them the same way I would, okay? This, I don't want to hear anything about me abusing this little girl, okay? Now, this cousin also strangely looks like me, so when we're in public, people always think that she's my daughter for some odd reason. Like, I don't think I look that old. They probably think I'm like but, you know, there's that. We're at this water park, and for this specific ride, we had to carry up this, like, inflatable sitting thing all the way up these crickety wood stairs, so I would always be tired by the time I reached the top. Anyways, it was fun, so we just kept doing it, despite the pain. Well, that day, it just seemed like everything was hotter, and I was wet from riding previous rides, and there were a bunch of people, so I was extremely overstimulated. And then my little cousin daughter thing started to complain about the walk. I snapped at her, which got a lot of stares, but I didn't care. And it wasn't until the water floaty hit her in the head, she hit the little stair rail, and her nose started bleeding a little bit. I was so fed up. I was so fed up. Once again, this is my cousin. This is my cousin. Cousins talk to each other this way, but we love each other, okay? I yelled at her to stop crying and get over it, and then I heard, how can a mother speak to her child like that? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. This is not my child. This is my cousin. I ignored her because I was already overstimulated, and I forced my cousin to get on the ride anyways. But we had fun. Literally after the ride, she was jumping around all happy.
Speaking of being fed up with younger cousins, one time my younger cousin Jaden was pissing me off to the point I said, shut the fuck up. And then he was like, ooh, and he went to my mom, and my mom's name is Julie, and he was like, Julie? Julian said shut the fuck up. And then he got in trouble for saying it, and my mom said no he didn't, because she was like 3 feet away from us. So basically he got in trouble for trying to get me in trouble.
I would crash out. That is crazy. Well, it was fun doing a video with you, Julian. We have to collab again sometime. I haven't laughed like this in a while.